Good morning and welcome. I'm delighted to have you all here. This is an important day for Portland State University and for the city of Portland. The impulse to seek new knowledge, new information, and new experiences and explore novel possibilities is part of human curiosity. When our curiosity is triggered, when it's especially stimulated by diverse and different perspectives, different disciplines, we are able to develop new and creative solutions that individually we may not be able to. Curiosity, multidisciplinary, driven by desire to impact humanity are foundations of the new PSU Centers of Excellence for Research. I'm excited today to announce the launch of 2 of such centers focused on some of the most urgent and social challenges that we are facing not only in Portland, but globally. We are announcing the establishment of a center that addresses homelessness and a center that addresses digital cities. As you may know, one of my priorities since I joined Portland State University last year was to create these centers of excellence. They will be the differentiators of Portland State. They will be the one that really address the most important and challenging issues that are facing not only our community, but the global community. The centers will conduct world-class research by bringing the best minds together to seek the best solutions for these challenges. The centers will have the potential to really impact our world by leading with brains, ideas, innovations that our faculty and students will bring together under these centers. These centers are going to be the shining examples of PSU's commitment to have knowledge serve the city, serve our global community. They will meld new and creative thinking and drive to develop impactful solutions. PSU is known for its innovations, and these are going to be great examples of what PSU innovation is and does. The goal for us is closely to work with both the public and private sectors. But I want to assure that these centers are not going to be competing with organizations or the activities within the publics, especially the local and state public organizations. Rather, they are going to be independent analyzers and coming up with solutions for the problems, and they will be complementing the activities that NGOs and other organizations are doing in Portland. They are also building based on the strengths of Portland State University. As you know, many of our faculty and students have been addressing the homelessness issues, studying it. But by creating these centers, we are bringing a laser focus by bringing multidisciplinary expertise to address these huge challenges and issues. Now, Portland State is not new to the ideas of centers. In fact, we have a number of outstanding centers and institutes. One of them is the Transportation Research and Education Center. That has shown how a multidisciplinary approach will be able to not only address key issues of transportation, but how you will be able to attract federal funding. Our transportation centers over the last 10 years has received almost close to $25 million of federal support. So these centers, we are making the initial seed funding and investment, but by competing for federal, state, and private dollars, they're going to be self-sustaining themselves through the course of the years. But these are going to be key points of pride for Portland State and for our city, Portland. Their results are going to make Portland to be the role model for the major urban cities around the globe. I'm delighted that we have a mayor who is really committed to these issues, has been supporting both of these in terms of homelessness as well as the digital city. And also, I'm delighted that Chair Kafuri, unfortunately, she is traveling and could not be here today, but she has expressed extensive interest and support for these centers. So without further ado, I want to first turn it over to our mayor, Ted Wheeler. Mayor Wheeler.
Well, thank you, President Qureshi, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for including me. I appreciate it. Within the next few months, the doors will open on a brand new hotel and office just 3 blocks to our north. In December, the city will be joining with Portland State, OHSU, and PCC to break ground on a new building 2 blocks to our east. This growth is emblematic, I believe, of the vitality of our urban community. As Portlanders, we love to think that our growth is somehow unique, and in some respects, there's no question that it is. But as Oregon is urbanized, so too has the United States urbanized. With a decade of unprecedented growth in our cities comes many, many challenges, but also many, many opportunities. I'm very pleased to be here today to join all of you and President Qureshi and PSU to applaud the creation of these 2 new research centers. As Portland continues to grow, I think it makes perfect sense to have our university tackling these critical urban issues. Safe, affordable housing represents one of our biggest challenges, and the continued development of Portland as a smart digital city represents one of our best opportunities. As you all know, we're highly focused on finding solutions for those experiencing homelessness. I'm very excited that this center allows PSU to deepen its commitment and expand its partnerships with a Home for Everyone and the Joint Office of Homeless Services, which is an important partnership between the City of Portland and Multnomah County. I'm confident that the collaboration will build on our understanding of the root causes of homelessness. Preventing homelessness before it starts is a vital part of the solution. We look forward to working with the Research Center to analyze our outcomes, assess our achievements, and ensure that the prevention, housing placement, and shelter services that we collectively offer do the best they can in terms of addressing outcomes and provide the kinds of solutions that we can measure in terms of progress. Addressing homelessness has to be an all-hands-on-deck effort. I'm energized that PSU is making this important investment. I'm equally excited about the Digital City Testbed Center. We know that advances in technology are going to make Portland more livable for every member of our community. The intersection of big data, innovative technology, and increasing urbanization is already impacting how we live and work in Portland across every sector: economic prosperity, public safety, community health, mobility, education, housing and resiliency. Technology shapes all of them. Smart City PDX is already working on nearly a dozen projects, with many more already in the pipeline. We're excited about continuing our collaboration with PSU to ensure that Portland is not just a city where innovators live and work, but a place where innovation enriches our city and enlivens our community. These two new research centers unite the City of Portland and Portland State University in a collective effort to promote the success of our city and our citizens. And I could not be happier to be here today to help announce this initiative. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, President Qureshi, and thanks to the whole team at PSU for your incredible work today and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wheeler. Now, as part of our commitment to development of new research directions and identifications for Portland State University, we went through an extensive search nationally to hire an individual who will be able to lead our research and scholarship effort. Please join me to welcome our new Vice President for Research and Graduate Studies at Portland State University, Dr. Mark McClellan. Mark.
Thank you, Mayor, President. Ladies and gentlemen, we're announcing today an extraordinary choice of both profound impact and, I believe, world-class expectation. Extraordinary impact because both of these centers will have commitments to the roots of service to the city at large, Portland, and indeed all centers of this nation, all cities of this nation. That both of these centers will have the potential for literally changing the world. And I don't say that casually. These are being led by world-class thinkers. They will be solution-oriented research centers, and they will indeed be second to none. They blend a focus on creative thinking to both of these issues and a drive to the future for solutions. And this is not just the same old, same old. This truly is who and what Portland State University stands for, the home of innovation. This is us. We're investing to the core of our ability to support and launch these centers for their creativity and passion, because it's the right thing to do for Portland, our host city, and indeed for all cities in this country. This is not a happen chance designation. This is a choice to place two new world-class centers at the forefront of our engagement with the city, state, and nation. And we do this because we are an urban-serving university that believes we can make a difference, seeking out solutions to make all urban communities better. And now, let me introduce the leaders of our new centers. Each will have an opportunity to speak with you. First, director of the new Digital City Testbed Center is Dr. John Fink, professor of geology. Also, director of our new Homelessness Research and Action Collaborative Center is Dr. Marisa Zapata, associate professor of urban studies and planning. Marisa, will you start us off?
Thank you. I feel no pressure after that excellent introduction. As Vice President McClellan said, my name is Marisa Zapata. My first name is pronounced Marisa or Marisa, and I am the co-director for the Homelessness Research and Action Collaborative. I want to acknowledge my wonderful colleagues from the Center Core Writing team who were able to make it here today, who are here in the audience. We also really want to thank President Qureshi for selecting our proposal to become a university research center. Collectively, we represent over 20 scholars from units across campus who believe that multi and interdisciplinary research will help us address the interconnected structural and institutional issues that have given rise to and perpetuate contemporary homelessness. Through our research, we will build better understandings of policies and practices that are working here in the Portland metropolitan region and across the country, as well as develop new collaborative research and partnerships that create innovative solutions to address homelessness. Our core set of activities, drawn from our ongoing work from a range of community partners, will include, first and foremost, seeking to reduce homelessness at Portland State University. We know that many of our students and staff struggle with homelessness and housing insecurity. We want to be part of a regional solution to homelessness that starts by looking at our own community and understanding how we can support the people who are here at Portland State. Secondly, we want to change narratives about homelessness and create action to end homelessness. We know that most people agree that homelessness is one of the most pressing issues in our country and in Portland today. However, we disagree about why homelessness exists and how to solve it. We want to study how people are thinking about and talking about homelessness to create a reframing communications campaign that will help educate community members about why homelessness is truly an issue and how we can collectively come together to solve it. We also want to be part of innovative approaches to address homelessness, particularly in thinking about our unsheltered population. From building temporary villages to creating hygiene centers, Portland faculty are already leading the way to think about how we can continue to support people who are currently living unsheltered on the streets. We want to identify how to build on these outgoing activities and think about how they fit into a broader set of initiatives to address homelessness and housing insecurity. We also really want to promote this idea and understand and demonstrate how housing is healthcare. We know that Housing First is a model that works. We also know that homelessness costs both the people who are experiencing it as well as our community at large. And we look forward to partnering with our partners at OHSU to think about ways that we can be part of demonstrating the costs and consequence to individuals and communities at large. Lastly, we want to be partners with policymakers and decision makers, implementers, and programmatic implementers in thinking about how to do good policy and program evaluation and research. We want to help analyze, evaluate, and assess ongoing work, and we also want to serve as a space to think about innovative ideas. We know that budgets are limited, and we want to be able to think about ideas that maybe cities or counties aren't able to actually implement without thinking them through in their entirety. For instance, we know that some of the pressing issues in the Portland metropolitan area deal with determining the doubled up count in terms of who is living double, triple, quadrupled up in housing. We also know that thinking about how racial equity is a factor in perpetuating homelessness remains a critically unexamined issue. In the coming months, we will check in with our current and we assume soon-to-be new partners in the Portland metropolitan region and the state of Oregon to ensure that we are asking the right types of questions and to guarantee that we are lifting up the voices with people who have lived experience as homeless. We look forward to adding our research skills to the work already taking place, and as President Qureshi indicated, seeking to add value to the ongoing efforts in the region. We are truly a complement and a value add to this work. We will do this by translating knowledge into action and providing evidence-based research that creates innovative policies, programs, and creative works that help maintain, preserve, and create a home for everyone. Thank you again to President Qureshi and for letting us be true scholars that will let knowledge serve the city.
Good morning. I'm John Fink. I'm a professor in the geology department here, and I'm here representing 20 faculty and a number of partners outside of the university who are setting up what we're calling the Digital City Testbed Center. Portland has a reputation and has had a reputation for a long time as an innovator in a number of fields in terms of sustainability and attention to a number of social issues. Portland State University has taken advantage of the reputation of Portland and the experience of Portland to build itself into one of the leading urban serving universities in the country. The Digital City Testbed Center builds on this relationship and represents one of the next stages in the evolution of the relationship between PSU and the City of Portland. What we plan to do with this center is to look at the issues of how technology affects cities, how technology affects city operations, but also the lives of residents of cities. There's a lot of opportunities associated with bringing technology in to make cities more efficient, more healthful, more equitable, more environmentally sustainable. But there are also a lot of questions that are raised by bringing all this technology into our lives. So one of the questions that comes up is, where do you try these things out? Do you just march into a neighborhood and say, hey folks, we're bringing in all kinds of new gizmos and video cameras and other things, and trust us, they'll be great? That hasn't worked so well in a number of areas. Now what we're proposing is to use campuses, academic campuses, corporate campuses, and nonprofit campuses that are in or adjacent to cities as test beds for the cities. So cities can try these new ideas out in a place that's a bit more controlled before they are deployed in the community. We want to make these test sites available to community groups and to individuals to come and see what's going on before they have it in the middle of their lives. We're going to start with 3 test beds. One is the Portland State Campus, one is the campus of the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, OMSI, and the third is the campus of the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. So we see this as a regional initiative, at least initially, focusing on Cascadia, or the Pacific Northwest, which has a lot of similarities among its 3 metro areas. Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver compete with each other to say, well, their mayors do, to say, who's the greenest, who's the most sustainable, who's the smartest. We think that the rest of the country and the rest of the world will do better to look at the whole region and see what can the region teach us and teach everybody else about the promise of smart cities. So we already have a partnership established with University of British Columbia and with University of Washington in Seattle. And over the years, we expect to add more of these test beds. What's going to happen on the test beds is we're going to invite in companies and invite in cities and invite in community groups to try things out, see how they work on their own, see how they work together, and then get ideas about what the optimum packages are that could then be offered to new places. The reason we're picking OMSI, which most of you are familiar with, is because OMSI's 18 acres are about to be developed. So those of you who go there with your kids or on your own know there's a very nice museum surrounded by a lot of parking lots. That's going to be a major development. The city and OMSI picked Girding Eadlin to develop it. The selection was just a few months ago. And so that's an opportunity to start from scratch and see what new buildings and new city infrastructure can look like with technology without any pre-existing conditions. University of British Columbia is a huge campus up in Vancouver, 990 acres, and they've been using their campus as a test bed for about a decade. I've been spending the last year and a half part-time up there learning from them and getting ideas that we could bring down here to Portland. Portland State University's campus is an ideal test bed in the sense that it's completely blended with the city. You know, other than the park blocks, when you're at PSU, it's hard to tell you're not in the city itself. So that in some ways is a challenging site to have as a test bed, but also is some of the best places to take ideas that are about ready to be deployed. We want to also take advantage of the relationships that Portland State has had with community groups for a long time and bring some of those folks in to help us evaluate what's going on. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. In the next couple of years, we do have a number of other campuses that we've been talking to about joining this network. One is Microsoft in Redmond. One is the Oregon Zoo up on the hills. And one is at Intel. The last point I want to make is that we have a lot of different things that we can work on. We have 20 faculty from across PSU, from virtually every college at PSU that are going to be part of this initiative. But we're going to start looking at 3 issues. First one is accessibility. So cities have a wide variety of citizens with all kinds of abilities. Some of them have a hard time negotiating the city, particularly people who use wheelchairs, people who are visually impaired. There's a lot of technology that's being applied to those communities now and to those sets of people. It's separate from the smart city communities or the smart city technology. We want to bring those two together, which is starting to happen in Cascadia and see what we can do. The second is that we want to help educate the public about what smart cities are. And we're going to do this because we're a university that's all about educating the public. We're also going to work with OMSI, which has a huge interface with the public, and then eventually with the Oregon Zoo and other science museums and organizations like this, whose job it is to explain complicated things to the public. The last issue we want to address is resiliency and preparation for the Cascadia earthquake. You could say, well, why is a geologist leading this? Well, that could be the hook. And there's a lot of things that one needs to do in terms of both preparation for and then recovery from earthquakes, which will require us to understand the promise and challenges of technology. So I look forward to answering any questions as we move on with the program, but thank you again for this opportunity, and thank you, President Qureshi.
Thank you. I hope these presentations have given you a glimpse of what is really for the future that PSU is planning to create. At this point, I would like to take advantage of having the mayor with us and the leadership of these centers to answer any questions that you may have. Yes, please.
I'm Shasta Kernsmore at the Portland Tribune. One of the things that you said in your speech was that this was a priority for you to develop these centers. Was it that you wanted to develop centers on these particular issues, or that you wanted to have centers like this or multidisciplinary centers?
Great. I'm glad you asked this question. So my priority was to create centers that, number one, are multidisciplinary. Number two, they are addressing major societal issues and challenges, because there are plenty of centers and institutes around the country. We did not want to be one of those. We wanted to be something that really will have profound impact. And Portland is the great place. It is a living lab for these types, given the history and the advances it has gone through. Think about sustainability. Portland is a symbol of sustainability around the world. So it was those. What we did was we went through several months of discussing the ideas with the faculty, and we were so pleased that we received 28 proposals for centers from our faculty. More than 200 faculty were involved in those. And we had the tough job of I wish we had the resources to support all 28, because they are all great proposals. Then we went through one set of review, reduced those to 7 of them, and then we had further discussions with those 7 groups and asked them to provide us a lot more. Part of it is each center had to provide a long-term business plan in terms of showing the impact as well as showing their sustainability, talking about financial sustainability. And so from those, we went through a second set of reviews, and we have selected these 2. Our goal is to have many more of these centers, so that I want to tell my colleagues who participated in these opportunities and proposals that there are many future opportunities, but we want to do them right. The idea is not to jump into too many. Take a few, show success, show progress, and move forward. So there will be other centers that will come.
President Qureshi, obviously universities have limited dollars, so how do you make the decision how much to invest in research centers like this versus how much to make sure you have for financial aid and to cover other costs?
So you know that this is an investment, but keep in mind that the example that I said are transportation center. Transportation center started with some seed funding from the university, but it has been able to attract, as I said, nearly $25 million of federal funding and other private sectors. It is the leveraging, and the majority of those funds go actually to support education of our students. So it's not that they're going to be spent on other things. It's going to be providing opportunities, especially research opportunities for our undergraduate and graduate students. So it's not that really taking away from other means. We are using these centers to support not only our mission and creating new knowledge, but supporting our students by engaging them in research. Other questions?
One thing that was mentioned on the announcement is about how it's going to study traffic. You mentioned homelessness
Sure.
and digital. So what about how it's going to, obviously, looking important and modifying the traffic? How could this help?
Sure. One of the other benefits of having these activities within the university is that, you remember, our number one asset is the pool of expertise, diverse expertise we have. And as I mentioned, we have other centers and institutes that are also addressing other problems. So these centers will be collaborating with the others. We have the transportation center already that is looking into urban designs and the impact of transportation. They will be closely linking now with the activities of the digital city to try to look at that. But John, do you want to expand on that?
One quick comment. So the mayor mentioned Smart PDX, which is a whole series of programs led by Kevin Martin, who's in the back there. And one of the projects that they have is the traffic safety sensor project on the east side. So we're looking at a number of corridors and how to improve traffic flow and reduce injuries and fatalities in those. They already have the tech covered for those. Intel, GE, and AT&T are putting that up. They don't have the staffing to look at the social science aspects of that. So through TREC, which the President mentioned, and through the other faculty that we have access to, we can look at those kinds of questions. So I think there are a number of projects already going on in Portland and also in Seattle and Vancouver that we can tap into.
If no other questions, I want to thank you all for coming here. It's a big day for Portland State and an exciting future. Thank you again.